Text appears on a black screen. ADA30, Lead On presents Black Future Month, Legacy, Present, and Afrofuturism. Next to the words lies an illustration depicting a figure inside an image of a powerful clenched fist. Text, The Art of Kennedy Nganga. Text, Blending of the Stars, Kennedy Nganga. Expressionism and Impressionism of Bliss, Peace, and Love. A large face of a woman is centered in the painting. The eyes, lined in blue, are closed. The lips are upturned in a small smile. A painted pattern of 4 triangles in red, white, and blue grace her chin. Eyebrows are white with 3 black stripes and 3 dots of yellow above each eyebrow. An arrow jewel hangs in the center of the forehead from a chain of blue and white beads. The top of the head is painted in blue, white, red, black, and purple stripes. Black rises up to a crown of red and white. The crown and decorations are a symbol of prominence. She is either an African tribe chief or a wife of a chief. Around her neck and back, she wears 4 rings layered in blue, white, yellow, red, and black, and on either side of her back is a green-winged shaped cape with circles of blue, orange, white, and black. She has a white ring and jewel in her nose and hanging earrings. The background from the top of the painting is orange with yellow clouds with blackbirds flying above a blue sky.
And now, Black Future Month is proud to present Blazin Fire's Chatroom.
In a video chat, a young woman connects with an older woman online. They smile.
Cool. Okay, cool. Now we can get into this. Yeah. Okay, you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, cool.
Text, your host, Safiya, Eshe, Gyasi.
Right. Growing up with an
Parental.
that word, with a very powerful, influential civil rights family that was involved in the movement. Did you see any Black people who had disabilities that was a part of the movement, or was they included during that time?
I would say yes. I didn't know my grandfather, but I know that my grandfather was blind. So, I know the work that he did, before sort of trying to help bring about change in Mississippi. And, but absolutely, I grew up in California, but my mother was very involved in the civil rights movement. And while she may have not had visible disabilities, she definitely had a disability. So I would say absolutely there are individuals with disabilities a part of the movement.
Text in conversation with Sandra Evers Manley, founder of the Black Hollywood Education and Resource Center.
Yeah. So after hearing about Chadwick Boseman's death and learning that he was battling with stage 4 colon, and that he's a phenomenal actor in all the movies he's been doing. But after his death, I heard a lot of people saying oh, I have no excuse now. But in my head, thinking about what if the film industry was more inclusive for people who are physically disabled, neurodivergent, and chronically ill? Because I feel it was easy for people to say that because he's a mega superstar, but they don't realize people who's right next to them, like me. I had traumatic brain injury, and I deal with a lot of that stuff. So with that being said, and knowing Chadwick Boseman situation, how do you think some ways how the film industry can be more accommodated for people who have physical disability, neurodivergent, and chronically ill?
No, great question. And again, I think there's overall society has much more work to do, right? To deal with individuals with disabilities and all abilities. And I think, Chadwick Boseman had a name, right? So we've got a lot of education to do. We've got to continue to challenge the status quo, to say we've got individuals of all abilities that deserve to be in front of and behind the scenes, and that we need to make an industry that's very acceptable and very accessible for all.
Words appear by an image of a fist with a broken chain.
Can you guess who I am? At age 13, I sustained a traumatic brain injury from a heavy object being thrown at my head. During the Civil War, I served as an armed scout and spy for the Union Army. I became known as Moses. Know who I am yet? If not, let me introduce myself. I am Harriet Tubman.
A new question appears.
Can you guess who I am? In 1989, I went into a diabetic coma during a taping of a television show and was later diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. I became the first Black woman to win an Academy Award for Best Actress. I won a Primetime Emmy Award and Golden Globe for my role in the television film Introducing Dorothy Dandridge in 1999. Know who I am yet? If not, let me introduce myself. I am Halle Berry.
A new question appears.
Can you guess who I am? While in school, I struggled with reading and spelling and was later diagnosed with dyslexia. I created a clothing company and a renowned clothing brand. Now I am an American businessman, an investor, television personality, author, and motivational speaker. Know who I am yet? If not, let me introduce myself. I am Damon John.
Back in the video chat, Sandra continues.
So I will just say, Chad Boseman was phenomenal, huge, just someone that we can be so proud that his legacy is one that was solidified in those roles. But he was also just a caring and wonderful young man on top of that. That loved his community, loved his family. But I think for us, when we talk about individuals with all abilities, with disabilities, we still have work to do. Hollywood has a lot of work to do. We can turn on our TV today and we can see certain groups not represented, right? That's still invisible. And that's why this work that you and others do is so important to help educate, but also help to challenge and push, especially now, now that this industry has opened up because of technology. There's no reason why we can't see the full landscape of Black excellence, which includes people with disabilities, all abilities. And so I think the work is important. And I don't think we are where we need to be. I don't think we're where we need to be with Black people, period. And then when we add that important intersection of individuals with disabilities, we've got much work to do.
Yeah, because I do, like you said, like the Hollywood have come a long way. Because I remember back growing up back in the 90s and early 2000s, I only saw a show that showed representation of people with disability or mentally ill as very dependent, crazy, couldn't do nothing for themselves. But I see more progression, especially the Netflix film Raising Dion. I think Michael B. Jordan had produced. The star, he's Black and he got asthma, and then his friend is in a wheelchair. So I think there is there are progressions that are being done. So I think we are heading in the right direction. And like you said, education, I think probably film executive, if they get consultation from people who have disabilities to know how they work and then implement breaks and stuff, that would also be like a good thing too.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I mean, I think, one of the things I'm starting to see, you see, right, what I call glimmers of hope. So Raising Dion is a good example. There's an incredible documentary that's out. I don't know if I like the name, but it's called Crip Walk, I think. It's an incredible documentary about activism of individuals with disabilities and how they had gone to this camp. And then many of them were on the forefront of a lot of things around ADA and different things like that. But there's some glimmers of hope, but there's still so much work to be done. But yeah, I mean, I think we're headed in the right direction. The question I ask, just with this, what's happening in our society right now, is this a moment in time? Is this a true movement that's going to be monumental and sustaining?
A new question appears.
Can you guess who I am? I was born blind. I was the first Motown artist and the second African-American musician to win an Academy Award for Best Original Song. I am known as a one-man band. My use of synthesizers and further electronic musical instruments during the 1970s reshaped the conventions of R&B. Know who I am yet? If not, let me introduce myself. I am Stevie Wonder.
A new question appears.
Can you guess who I am? I started to lose my eyesight between the ages 4 or 5 and became completely blind by age 7. I pioneered the soul music genre during the 1950s by combining blues, jazz, rhythm and blues, and gospel styles into the music I recorded. In 1975, I was inducted into the American Academy of Achievement and presented with the Golden Plate Award and the Academy of Achievement Gold Medal. Know who I am yet? If not, let me introduce myself. I am Ray Charles.
A new question appears.
Can you guess who I am? I acquired Parkinson's at age 42 and became a role model for people with physical disabilities. What many may not know is that I also had dyslexia. I won the world's heavyweight championship from Sonny Liston in a major upset. I was a very high-profile figure of racial pride for African Americans during the Civil Rights Movement and throughout my career. Know who I am yet? If not, let me introduce myself. I am Muhammad Ali.
In the video chat, an insert shows a man interpreting in American Sign Language.
And that's what I want. I want to see that sustainment. I don't want this just to be sort of this movement that's not monumental and not sustaining. So I still think there's still much work to do. I'm not ready to say we've got it all right. I do think there's glimmers of hope, but I think we need to accelerate even faster and make even big monumental kinds of change.
Yeah. And piggyback off of that question, I know like you had like, I think it was like, cause I know you do a lot of film festivals and you had did one about, I think the kid was from Kenya and the film was called I'm Not Special. Can you tell us like a little bit more about that film?
Sure. So that's actually one of our films. It's from the US that I produced. And the filmmaker is Larry Ulrich, who's the director, and it's called I'm Not Special. And so that's one of our Films with a Purpose films. And Larry, who's an incredible director and writer, came to me over a year ago and said, hey, I have this idea for a film, and I'd like to focus on a student with Down syndrome. And it's a really beautiful story. It's a it's a hard story too. You know, it's a troubling story. But to be able to cast a young man with Down syndrome in a film was phenomenal. And he just did a great job. So this is what Films with a Purpose is. It's really about, and actually I have a meeting with him later today because we're talking about doing a part 2 of that film because it's been accepted, just well received by so many people that you have this beautiful young man to be able to be cast and star in this film. And so I'm Not Special. It's really a story about a young man with Down syndrome who both of his parents, unfortunately, are on drugs. And sort of this kid, it's sort of about his journey of life and being invited to participate in sort of like an Olympics kind of a competition and what that takes.
A new question appears.
Can you guess who I am? At the age of 8, I was sexually abused and raped by my mother's boyfriend. After the incident, I developed selective mutism. I published 7 autobiographies, 3 books of essays, several books of poetry, and I'm credited with a list of plays, movies, and television shows spanning over 50 years. I received more than 30 honorary degrees from colleges and universities all over the world. Know who I am yet? If not, let me introduce myself. I am Maya Angelou. Can you guess who I am? I have ADHD. I'm the 6th woman to win an individual all-around title at both the World Championships and the Olympics. I am the most decorated American gymnast and the world's 3rd most decorated gymnast. Know who I am yet? If not, let me introduce myself. I am Simone Biles. Can you guess who I am? I was sent to live at the Georgia Regional Hospital at the age of 11 after being diagnosed with mental and intellectual disabilities. In 1999, Judge Ruth Bader Ginsburg and a court majority ruled it was unconstitutional to deprive me of the needed resources to live independently. I am a recipient of the Harriet Tubman Act of Courage Award. Know who I am yet? If not, let me introduce myself. I am Lois Curtis. Can you guess who I am? I contracted polio at age 6, which left me with a persistent stutter. I was lynched in Mississippi. I became an icon for the civil rights movement. Know who I am yet? If not, let me introduce myself. I am Emmett Till. Welcome back to Blazin' Fiya's chat room. Fiya is joined by a distinguished older black gentleman wearing a black t-shirt.
Host Safiya Eshe Gyasi wears her dreads tied up.
I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm doing well, and you? So, yeah. Oh, did I cut you off? My bad.
The man smiles, text, present, in conversation with Leroy Moore, founder of Crip Hop Nation.
Been working in a disability, like black disability, for rights for black disability people since like the 70s, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. Since the late 70s, early 80s. Yeah.
Yeah. So, could you talk about some of the progress that has been made for Black people with disabilities since you first started in this area for to make lives more better for Black people with disabilities up to now, from there up to now, like some of the changes that's been made?
God, there's been a lot of changes. Black parents, fought to get their children to quote unquote regular education, so that's the big fight. Organizations tried to form back in the late 80s with the late Sylvia Walker from DC. And that lasted for a couple of years. Then you had the National Black Disability Coalition with Jane Dunham in New Jersey, and she started as a local organization when she was working at her 9-to-5 job. She wanted to have more Black disability issues, so that was a win. Here in Oakland, we had the Harambe Educational Council that lasted for 5 years for Black parents with disabled kids. So there has been some progress, and of course, the ADA and all the civil rights laws. Yeah.
Okay, so
A new question appears.
Can you guess who I am? I lost my vision and hearing as a result of an unknown progressive condition beginning in early childhood. I became the first deaf-blind student to attend and graduate from Harvard Law School. I now work to change attitudes about disability around the world, including the development of accessible digital services. Know who I am yet? If not, let me introduce myself. I am Haben Gurma. Can you guess who I am? I received the Scotton Fellowship for law graduates working with disabled people. I became the first deaf Black female attorney in the United States. I held a position in the White House Office of Public Engagement as the Public Engagement Advisor to the disability community. Know who I am yet? If not, let me introduce myself. I am Claudia Gordon. Can you guess who I am? I was diagnosed with cerebral palsy. I was the first actor with a disability to obtain a Master's of Fine Arts in Acting from California State University, Long Beach in 2001. I was a recipient of the 2016 Best Actor honor for the 48-Hour Disability Film Challenge. Know who I am yet? If not, let me introduce myself. I am Diana Elizabeth Jordan.
So what are some things that you think that we can start doing now where that can make a more comfortable environment for more people, Black people can come out and say they have a disability with pride to support the kids coming up that have disability?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think we're doing it now. I think you're doing it with Black futurism. That's going to show a whole different side of Black disabled people. Books that I've done, around Black disabled art history to Black disabled ancestors. We need more of that. We need more courses of Black disabled, movements in college courses and high school courses. We need a national campaign with all the funding to happen. And that's what the National Black Disability Coalition is trying to do, trying to do this national campaign so we can educate our Black community, Black national organizations like the NAACP and the Urban League and the Black Caucus. Those are the kind of institutions that need this education so they can go on and represent the Black disabled community rightly. So all of this needs a lot more education and on all levels.
This movement, when we see like history about like Black celebrities that like I done my research, and in the research I didn't know some of these celebrities had disabilities.
Mm-hmm.
and like how like the media tries to immediately like erase the disability. And with the young lady Amanda Gordon, who said the poem at the inauguration, she was the bomb, and she had to say in the media, like, because of my disability, I'm able to do these things. It's what make me special. So where am I trying to go with this? But like, I guess I pick it back like on what you posted on Facebook of how we need more access to media and entertainment. Like our stories need to be told authentically.
A new question appears.
Can you guess who I am? I have ADHD. I am an American journalist. I won the Pulitzer Prize for Commentary in 1989. Know who I am yet? If not, let me introduce myself. I am Clarence Page. Can you guess who I am? I have dyslexia. In 1995, I was the first science fiction writer to receive a MacArthur Fellowship. In 2005, I was inducted into Chicago State University's International Black Writers Hall of Fame. Know who I am yet? If not, let me introduce myself. I am Octavia Butler. Can you guess who I am? My absence from the music industry was due to a hyperthyroidism disorder known as Graves' disease. I became the first female rapper inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame and received the MTV VMA's Michael Jackson Video Vanguard Award. I won 4 Grammy Awards and sold over 30 million records in the United States. Know who I am yet? If not, let me introduce myself. I am Missy Elliott.
Also been talking about on Facebook about how like with disabilities, like the disability movement is just only like talking about like the inequality and what we need, but we also need like an art movement, the culture of disability, to know that we are full-rounded human beings.
Yeah.
And like, even though like these stories with Octavia Butler, or like you said with Porky, like these stuff was hinted. Like you can see it, like if you're a Black person with a disability, you can pick up on the nuances, but we need more stuff that's pushed out in the forefront. And I think one a good representation that is that movie Blazin on Netflix.
Yes, in the 80s, I used to carry the U.S. Census Bureau. The late Frank Bowe did a special report on Black and Hispanic with people with disabilities, and it's the only report of its kind till today. And back then it said 98% of Black disabled women and men were unemployed, 98%. So, and things haven't really changed since then. We were still in the high 90s, you know. And with gentrification of cities from Chicago to New York to the Bay Area, there's a lot of Black disabled elders on the street. That what really blows me, Sophie, is that I'm seeing Black disabled grandmothers and granddads houseless and they're disabled. It's like, what happened to our teaching about, being there for our elders, So, yeah, poverty is really high now, especially with COVID and gentrification together. Black disabled, a lot of disabled men are houseless. So, yeah.
Yeah, because I just want to say because after I graduated from college in December 2018, I had a very challenging time of securing a job because I advocate for myself so strongly because my disability is invisible and I have silent seizures. And when I asked the employer that, and then it's I seen this standoffishness or these things that they didn't understand or feel like they didn't have to accommodate me, and or I didn't end up getting a job. And I had to think about like self-advocacy is so important. I think entrepreneurship and being an artist for Black disabled people is so important. That's a part of taking ownership of our narrative.
Yeah. It's so funny. I want to say that back in, I think it was early 2000, I quit my job. I quit my 9-to-5 job at a disability organization because I didn't see myself. So I quit my job and I started, getting more organized with the Black disabled community. And now 2020, 2021, I see the fruits of my work, but it took such a long time and such a courageous thing to quit my job and start something new, But yeah, I want to say that, if you see a need and if you say, okay, I need to do this, yeah, it's going to be hard at first. But once you do it, once you get into it, then you see that, it was a good decision. Yeah.
Yeah. So to wrap up, can you tell us a little bit, because I want to end on a powerful note about all the work that you're doing with Crip Hop and Poor Man Magazine and how you want to build this art house, all the wonderful things you're doing there.
Thank you so much, Sophie. Yeah, I mean, Crip Hop has took it to the next level. We've been around for 13, 14 years, but now me and Keith is let's do this because we're both in our 50s. It's like, okay, time is ticking. So Crip Hop just went under Key Jones LLC. So now we are an LLC, which is really good. We can get money and stuff like that. And also we're working on so many projects. We're international. We've been in Australia doing workshops. We were on the Netflix with the Paralympic song, And now we're trying to build.
A new question appears.
Can you guess who I am? I was born blind. I lived and died before autism was described, but now I'm regarded as an autistic savant. During the 19th century, I was one of the best-known American performing pianists and one of the best-known African-American musicians. I performed at the White House before President James Buchanan, making me the first African-American to give a performance at the White House. Know who I am yet? If not, let me introduce myself. I am blind Tom Wiggins. Can you guess who I am? I had polio as a child. I was the co-founder and vice chair of the Freedom Democratic Party. I ran for the U.S. Senate in 1964 and the Mississippi State Senate in 1971. Know who I am yet? If not, let me introduce myself. I am Fannie Lou Hamer. Can you guess who I am? I was diagnosed with polio at the age of 19. I directed the Community Resources for Independent Living in Hayward, California for over a decade. I decided to go back to school and attend San Francisco State University. It was here where I experienced blatant ableism and discrimination because of my disability. Know who I am yet? If not, let me introduce myself. I am Johnny Lacey. Can you guess who I am? I suffered from several early childhood illnesses, including pneumonia and scarlet fever, and contracted infantile paralysis caused by the polio virus at the age of 5. I was acclaimed the fastest woman in the world in the 1960s and became the first American woman to win 3 gold medals in a single Olympic game. I became a role model for Black and female athletes, and my Olympic success helped elevate women's track and field in the United States. Know who I am yet? If not, let me introduce myself. I am Wilma Rudolph. Welcome back to Blazin Faya's chat room. Faya is joined by a black man with glasses, a mustache, a bald head, and a wide smile.
I'm excited to talk with you.
Text. Host Safiya Eshe Gyasi.
Yeah, let's get right into it.
Text. Afrofuturism in conversation with John Jennings, founder of Megascope.
What encouraged you to get involved in the Afrofuturism movement?
Okay, so I came to Afrofuturism pretty late in the game, so to speak, well, career-wise for me. I had read Octavia Butler's work before, but I had never connected it to, what they were calling Afrofuturism, right? So I didn't really come across the term until, say, 2007, 2008, something like that, even though the term is coined in the 90s, right, the 1990s. Brought to bear by people like Mark Derry and, Alondra Nelson and, Nalo Hopkinson and people like that. But yeah, so I came across it in 2008 or so because I did these images that were like cyborg images, actually. And in some ways, I don't know, have you seen those? Because I know that some of your interest is in, the idea of like representation of Blacks and disability as well, right? So I don't know if you've seen those images, but they actually might be of interest to you. But so I did those images and I did them for an art show. And a friend of mine who studies African art said, "Hey, I love these. They look very Afrofuturist," right? And I was like, okay, I never heard of that term before. And I started doing research and I realized like, oh, wow, this actually is a very rich, interesting space to delve into, you know? And I think I agreed with her that they were definitely kind of dealing with that because they were these cyborg images that were based off, I was doing research on like identity politics and like, you know, stereotypes.
So next question is like Octavia Butler's book, The Wild Seed, is being used as a connector to connect Afrofuturism to people with disability. And have you ever thought about the people that Doro and Anyaru was breeding and like the connection that they have with Black people with disability? Or have you ever made this connection before?
You know, I have to say, like, not until the question was posed to me and I started trying to wrap my head around it, you know? I guess it depends on the perspective. The way that I see it is like, you know, the society is disabled and people don't have disabilities. They are who they are. And that society just is not designed for, you know, certain people, you know what I'm saying? And that's, so it's, to me, it's like a failure of the society to actually not have the proper systems in place. You know, that's what I think, first of all, because I don't like the idea of saying that someone, I think differently abled is better to me, but, you know, having a disability, it to me, it actually, you know, it codes people differently, you know, but anyway, that's how I think about it. So I think it's badly designed society. But to your question though, Doro, I think actually, let me ask you this, would you consider addiction a disability?
It can, cause now the talk is including like mental health, like anxiety, ADHD, as a part of, to be in a talk with like people with disability. I think it's what's they call that? Not like a side effect or like a symptom.
A symptom. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, because the way I look at Doro can't help but to survive. You know, he's a ruthless character, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. So you got two different things about Doro in particular. First of all, he does not have a body. You know, that is differently able, right? So he doesn't have a body. You know, he's a consciousness that takes over people's bodies, right? And then he eats them, and then he jumps into another body, and he's compelled to do so. Like he can't help it, right? So I guess you could read that as, I read it as a kind of an addiction. I think that not having a body could be read as a differently able person. But I think that he's kind of like a drug addict to a certain degree. I mean, because he basically, you know, has to feed off of people. He can't help it because he's compelled to survive, right? Now, Anyanwu is interesting because her power is that she doesn't die unless she basically is immortal unless something kills her, right? But the other thing is that she can control every molecule of her body, right? It's difficult for me to think of her as having a disability, but I think, you know, the fact that she has to hide herself maybe could be considered, you know, because she basically has to pretend to grow old and die over and over and over again, because if she doesn't, then people will notice her, you know what I'm saying? Like, hey, you 200 years old, why you still look the same, you know? So she has to pretend to atrophy, you know? Now, you know, honestly, I've seen more comparisons with people talking about Black folk with disability with Parable of the Sower, because Lauren Olamina has a condition that is a birth defect that came from a drug. You know, her mother was using the smart drug. Have you read that one?
No, I haven't. I only read Wild Seed.
Wild Seed's my favorite.
Yeah, but I was thinking about more so like the people that like Doro, like when they was getting people and bringing them together, well, especially Doro, and like they was like outcasts and they had these special abilities. Cause like people who have disability, like, cause like I was hit by a car when I was 13. Oh, wow. And it led to me sustaining like a traumatic brain injury. And I show up differently. But since that and learning how to re-exist in this society with a brain injury, I have these abilities of how I connect with people.
Okay. Okay.
That it also made me feel like an outcast, but it's a special ability that makes me special, though.
Mm-hmm. So I could see that from that standpoint then, because, you know, in some ways, the people that Doro and Anyanwu are kind of making together, or like that he's trying to like to make the X-Men on purpose, right? To a certain degree, because he's trying to create people whose bodies he could inhabit and stuff when he feels like. I mean, he's a very ruthless, evil character, actually. You know, yeah, Doro is not to be played with. But you know, when you look at like Lauren Olamina, so basically her mother takes this smart drug. It's supposed to make you brilliant, or it's supposed to increase your mental capacity. But what it does with infants in utero is it creates this condition called hyperempathy. So when she sees someone in pain, she feels it.
Oh, like an empath.
Like an empath, but it's hyper empathy. So her mind will trick her body into, it's like psychosomatic. It's highly psychosomatic. So for instance, if someone has their hand cut or something, she will actually bleed. You know, that kind of thing. Her body, yeah. So that, you know what I'm saying? So it's a really interesting thing. But also she feels people's pleasure and stuff too. Like for instance, if she, you know, if she finds somebody, you know, in the act, so to speak, you know, she will feel what they're feeling. You know, it's a very interesting thing. And she's trying to create a religion, you know. And because I see that particular case, it's an Octavia Butler book, right? And that is a differently abled person for sure too. And actually what happens is there's a new kind of slavery that comes into play because society's falling apart. And so people with hyper empathy are rounded up, and because they're easy to control, all you would have to do is hurt somebody around them and they would feel it.
A new question appears.
Can you guess who I am? I have dyslexia and ADHD. I was an early supporter of the civil rights movement in the 1950s and 60s and was a confidant of Martin Luther King Jr. I was awarded the National Medal of Arts in 1994. Know who I am yet? If not, let me introduce myself. I am Harry Belafonte. Can you guess who I am? I have ADHD. I have been nominated for 5 Golden Globe Awards and 2 Academy Awards, and have won 4 Grammy Awards. I have been ranked as the most bankable star worldwide by Forbes. Know who I am yet? If not, let me introduce myself. I am Will Smith.
In the video chat, John continues.
You know, it's interesting you say that because I think, first of all, people forget that, you know, the Black Panther was created by 2 white Jewish men in 1966, right? Which is interesting. And it's being disseminated by a very large company, you know. I often say that Wakanda has been colonized by the Black radical imagination, you know. Like, so often, like, you know, Black people our creativity has been the engine for change in this country, and it was literally built on our ancestors' backs, right? Through slavery and through other types of Jim Crow oppression and everything, still to this day, you know. Our culture drives a lot of the things that happen. You know, it's just that now, like, as you say, through technology and through like having agency, we have actually been able to reclaim a lot of that spaces and stuff like that. I think the idea of Wakanda is very powerful, but I also think that we've already had Wakanda. You know, we called it Tulsa, we called it Rosewood. You know what I'm saying? Like when white folk would not let us, you know, interact with them as Americans and say, oh, well, you know, you're free, but you can't hang out with us. So go do your thing over there, Black person, right? And you built successful Black towns and subdivisions, right? And then, of course, through either like economic pressure or just outright destruction, you know, those places were destroyed, you know. So we've already had Black spaces that were extremely successful and you know, to fill with like doctors and lawyers and dentists and teachers, and you know what I'm saying? So Wakanda is, to me, like, you know, it's kind of like reflecting that idea, if anything. The other thing to remember is that there was there's a sister named Pauline Hopkins who wrote this book called Of One Blood from the 1800s, actually, late 1800s. And was about she wrote this, she was an early writer. She wrote this story about a Black man who's from a secret society in Ethiopia where they had high technology and magic and stuff. And this is written. And so he realizes that he's actually descended from these people in this hidden space in Ethiopia, which, man, if that ain't Wakanda, I'm like, so anyway, so we actually already have been thinking about like other different spaces and stuff like that. There's even this book called The White Man's Burden, which was actually written by a white man he was critiquing how Black people were being treated in America, right? I forgot his name right now. And I can send you this as a document too, if you want to check it out. So this man, it's written in the 1800s. It's about a white man who wakes up far in the future in like 5,000, AD or something. It's crazy. And what's happened is like the white folk in the United States have become more barbarian and have been destroying themselves. And like Africa is now the most important, like biggest thing on the planet, right? Yeah, it's called White Man's Burden. And it was written in the 1800s. So that is almost like Wakanda too. So I say all that to say is that, we've already been dreaming of these spaces for so long. And I think that what happened when we saw that on the big screen, with Wakanda, I mean, it touched me as a person. When I first saw it, I was in tears when I saw it. I didn't really need it. I didn't really know that I needed to see that.
A new question appears.
Can you guess who I am? I have ADHD. I have been awarded the 1988 NBA Defensive Player of the Year award. I was named the 20th century's greatest North American athlete by ESPN and was second to Babe Ruth on the Associated Press list of athletes of the century. Know who I am yet? If not, let me introduce myself. I am Michael Jordan. Can you guess who I am? I have ADHD and dyslexia. I am often regarded as the best point guard of all time. My career achievements include 3 NBA MVP awards, 9 NBA Finals appearances, 12 All-Star games, and 10 All-NBA first and second team nominations. Know who I am yet? If not, let me introduce myself. I am Irvin Magic Johnson. Can you guess who I am? I was born deaf. I will play a deaf superhero in a Marvel Cinematic Universe superhero film. I was nominated for several awards, including a Tony Award for Best Actress in a Play. Know who I am yet? I am Lauren Ridloff.
Liberation technology, right? So you think about it, throughout history, Black people have always used our art to free ourselves, whether to deal with trauma, to deal with pain, to uplift ourselves, to create a sense of resilience, to fight on. These are liberation technologies to me, because we fight with our art. We always have. Whether it's dance, whether it's our singing, which was visual art, we use these as a type of resistance strategies to either release tension, to create beauty, to feed ourselves intellectually. Our poetry and our literature, our critical thinking, have always been technologies.
A new question appears.
Can you guess who I am? I was diagnosed with colon cancer. I won an NAACP Image Award for Outstanding Actor in a Motion Picture and a Screen Actors Guild Award for outstanding performance by a cast in a motion picture. I extensively supported cancer charities publicly and privately, as well as giving to organizations that support disadvantaged children. Know who I am yet? If not, let me introduce myself. I am Chadwick Boseman. Can you guess who I am? On November 18, 2010, I admitted to CBS News that I had been diagnosed with systemic lupus erythematosus. In 2011, I was inducted into the Georgia Music Hall of Fame. I have sold over 70 million records worldwide as of 2020, including 41 million albums, and I'm one of the highest-selling female R&B artists in history. Know who I am yet? If not, let me introduce myself. I am Toni Braxton. Can you guess who I am? I nearly died in an automobile accident on November 19, 1954, and I lost my left eye as a result of the accident. I was awarded the Spring Arm Medal by the NAACP and was nominated for a Golden Globe Award and an Emmy Award for my television performances. In 1966, I had my own TV variety show. Know who I am yet? If not, let me introduce myself. I am Sammy Davis Jr.
What's up, good people? I'm Safiya Eshe Gyasi, the founder of Black Girl Fire. Now, Black Girl Fire is a creative experience that provides a platform for the misunderstood, unheard, and unseen by turning their trauma into artistic healing experiences through art and storytelling. Now, I am a 17-year traumatic brain injury survivor, and I had the opportunity to graduate from the School of the Art Institute of Chicago, also known as SISC. While I was attending SISC, I developed a technique of using storytelling and art to help me create artistic healing experiences for myself so I could better understand my experience of being a traumatic brain injury survivor while living in today's society. And when I graduated from SIC, I started to think about people as myself who could benefit from the technique I developed of using art and storytelling to create artistic healing experiences. Now, Black Girl Fire had the opportunity to be the artistic coordinator and project manager for Black Future Month. And Black Future Month is so freaking dope because it is providing an opportunity for Black people with disabilities to take ownership of their narratives and show their talent. And especially in this digital age with technology, I feel Black people with disability, women, Black people in general, LGBTQ people, and other marginalized groups, this is the time that we take ownership of our narrative and share with the story. We've been silent for too long, and it's time that we will be heard and we show our gifts and our superpowers with the world. Peace out.
Thanks to our sponsors, Comcast, NBC Universal, Telemundo, Facebook, and Sony Pictures. From all of us at ADA30 Lead On Productions presents Black Future Month, Legacy, Present, and Afrofuturism.
Executive producers Keith Jones, J.D. Michaels, Terry Hardman Squire, Danny Woodburn. Co-producer Tamika Sitchin Spruce. Artistic coordinator Safiya Eshe Gyasi. Post-production supervisor Trelonda Lowe. Editors Trelonda Lowe, J.D. Michaels, Keith Jones, Tamika Sitchin Spruce, Safiya Eshe Gyasi. Blazin Fire's Chatroom. Safiya Eshe Gyasi, host. Jerron Gilchrist, ASL interpreter. Episode 1, Legacy. Sandra Evers Manley, founder, Black Hollywood Education and Resource Center. Episode 2, Present. Leroy Moore, founder, Crip Hop Nation. Episode 3, Afrofuturism. John Jennings, founder, Megascope. Visual artist, Kennedy Nganga. The full end credits can be found at the leadonada.org website.
ADA Lead On Productions Mission Statement by Keith Jones and Leroy Moore. ADA30 Lead On was established for the 30th anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act. Our goal is to continue to bring recognition to the history, impact, and purpose of the ADA through celebrations of diverse, disabled artists, innovators, and advocates, and their allies. At this time in our nation's collective conscience, we are asked to confront harsh realities that are residual echoes of the American dream. As in every social justice movement in this nation, the disability rights movement was born out of the unfulfilled parts of America's potential and its unrealized and inaccessible dream. Whether it be for suffragists, freedom riders, Stonewall rioters, feminists, each arose as response and appeal to the nation. Do better. Be better. However, even in those moments, the roles of ableism and racism were and are quite prevalent. That simple truth is what makes these ADA lead-on celebrations and productions even more significant. Visit us at leadonada.org. Check out ADA30 Lead On and In-Deem productions that have reached over 90,326 people with 112,229 impressions. And visit the creators celebrated in this production and more from the Black disability community at their new home, black-future-month.org.